Welcome back to another Warhammer 40K video brought to you by One Mind Syndicate. I am your host, Gershwin, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
The Sound Alchemist.
Creature. And today we're going to talk about what we wish we would have known about Warhammer 40K. You're not cold, man up.
I'm freezing.
I'm not turning the heater on, you're fine.
It's only 30 degrees out, I guess that's fine.
I'm going to be the old dad who's just like...
Yeah, put a blanket on.
And you're wearing a jacket, so you're good.
You're right.
Speaking about childhood, what do you wish you knew about 40K before you even started playing? And I said childhood because me and the Sound Alchemist started when we were wee lads. I think we were in middle school. You did too, though, right? That's how Creature?
For middle school, yeah.
So you're like an actual OG player that just gave up.
I never knew the rules, but yeah, essentially.
Yeah, your brother was the one that brought you into the game, right?
My oldest brother, yeah, he took us to the Warhammer store and he bought like everything. And
Yeah.
originally, yeah.
For me, I wish I would have known more about the different factions within 40K and not just gone straight for the Space Marines. I am a hardcore orc player now. Like, that's my core army. If I would have known that, I would have not wasted my time with Space Wolves because I bought Space Wolves for a while.
But I think that's everybody. Like, everybody's starter army kind of never really sticks till, like, when you're fully invested. You know the lore inside and out, and, like, you're playing games every other weekend.
Yeah.
Because, like, everybody is going to gravitate towards Space Marines. I think they tell the people working at GW to push people towards Space Marines.
But you said it yourself. They push people towards Space Marines because that's their poster boy thing. I wish somebody would have sat me down and said, before you buy any minis, here's like a rundown of the factions. Figure out which one vibes with you.
Spend these $50 on this core rule book and learn about all the factions.
And that's what's, I wish there would, like now I think there's a lot of resources online for you to know the lore, to know how what is it called, the faction plays on the tabletop. Whereas in the past, like I wish I would have known that before jumping into
Well, I mean, that's the thing about the past. Like, we didn't really have these resources available to us. The only real YouTubers about 40K was like
Mini
Wargaming.
Beast of Chaos. Or no, what is it called? Yeah, Beast of Chaos, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if are they still doing
I
stuff?
don't think so, no.
I don't necessarily think that sitting someone down and giving them the rundown would necessarily have the same outcome or a better outcome because I kind of had, the second time I got into Warhammer with you guys, I kind of had that ability to do that, and I watch videos about how to play. I thought I was going to get into Necrons, but I looked through the whole range, and I decided on Death Guard, and I still ended up being like, I don't really like the Death Guard, because I really like the models, and I think I like the play style, but until you actually have some games under your belt, you're not going to really know what play style you actually like playing.
That's true. It really depends on the individual and how much they know based on like the tabletop. Because I think like a war game is way different than what you were probably used to, which was card games and that kind of stuff. And with us, I felt like we were kids, so we kind of had this idealized reality of what 40K was. It wasn't that.
Yeah, the best thing I could describe what I wanted to play, because I mean, obviously we all got Space Wolves as our first kit that we built and played and whatnot, is like at that point I was way into screaming Kaioken, a Super Saiyan, and like fighting people weeaboo style in the playground, and that's what gravitated me towards the Tau.
You used to run with your hands behind your back.
Now I'm just in the bedroom with my hands behind my back.
Whoa! Hopefully not on your knees.
I got knee pads. I'm good. But yeah, so it's like I really gravitated towards the look of the battle suits, even more so the Forge World ones, and just the way people can convert. Because like when you look at the box, it's just like the way GW wants you to play them. But looking at all the conversions and all the different things you could do online really helped me gravitate towards the Tau.
Yeah.
I never really liked their play style of just kind of castling up and shooting long ways. I really wanted to get in there and fight with battle suits. And I thought, Farsight, that's the way to go. And ever since then, that's why I've been playing Farsight, because it's like an unorthodox way of playing the Tau that people don't really expect.
True. Yeah. It doesn't win you very many games.
No, none at all. I don't think I've won any games in 10th edition.
But I think that is the key to what I was saying earlier of like, you have a love for the Tau, so much so that you're willing to lose a game because like this, it's your army and you're proud of it. And I think if I would have known, like, you're going to gravitate towards the orcs because that's just you. I wish had a better understanding. I kind of even think of it as like, when we first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, this docile creature introduced us to it. You get the player's handbook.
Mm-hmm.
You go through everything, and you're like,
Yeah.
"What would I want to play?" So it's one of those things. And
Yeah.
I wish it was free.
And I think that's the cool thing about like these type of games is like there's an overwhelming amount of possibility you can do.
Yeah.
Even if you go Space Marine, you have all the different chapters, and within all these different chapters, you have different play styles: melee, psychic, ranged. You can go iron, or not iron, like Iron Hands with like vehicles and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
And I think some of it just comes with experience. Like it'd be nice to like know what you know now at the beginning, but like some of it you're only going to learn through
That's
actually
true.
putting in the hours. And because there was also something that really hit me with Death Guard is painting. Like some armies are harder to paint than others, some are a lot easier. And if you don't like painting, which you might not know when you first get starting out, or if you don't like building, or if you really like converting, there's certain factions that are gonna like be more susceptible to that. You're like what you enjoy about the hobby.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. Like the painting aspect, like I wish I knew more about the different painting techniques when we first started, so that I would know, yes, gravitate towards the more organic looking models, because those are going to be easier to paint. Whereas like, let's say you start playing Imperial Guard, a bunch of tanks, that's a shit ton of edge highlighting.
Yeah.
You have to get like a special, like you have to do stuff. There's a YouTuber called Squidmar, I think. He created like top 5 techniques to learn as like a newbie or whatever. And if I had that resource when I first started out, I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, because
That
when I
helps.
first started Death Guard, I probably did Google like how to paint Death Guard, and they're like prime it black, painted this, and I was like, okay, but I wanted to have a very light color green, so I went from black to like almost white green, and it'd take like 12 coats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to paint this army anymore.
Yeah.
It's just because I didn't know like the
Yeah.
right way to do things.
I feel like right now you need 12 coats.
Yeah, I do. Give me
It's
some
not that
coats.
cold.
Give me some
It's
coats.
not that cold.
The one thing that I really hated, and I wish somebody would have told me, is how expensive this hobby is. Well,
So-
not expensive in like, oh man, all these dollars that I have to pay, but expensive in the way that like it pushes people away from the hobby. Like to find a game, you can't play right away.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you have somebody buying the models, buying the rule books, buying terrain, making sure everything's painted, everything's built, everything's based. Because right now we're kind of having that problem where it's like people work at different paces.
Yeah.
And like if somebody's ready to play now, it may take the other person a month, 2 months to finish getting their army painted to a standard that they're happy with.
And
That
we're
is true.
lucky because we have, like, we know each other and then we all play the game.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you just really liked the game and you didn't know anybody else that played it. You would have to, like, not only do you have to spend the money and the time and the effort to make an army, then you have to just find somebody. I mean, there's gaming stores and stuff like that, but there's not always people there just ready to play games.
True.
And might not be at the same mindset how to play the games as you. So we are actually pretty lucky, but some people might just, like, not have people to play with. That's
Yeah.
just a big hurdle to jump over.
Yeah, because as popular as 40K is, that doesn't mean that every store has that same popularity. There was a time when our local game store was playing more games of Age of Sigmar than 40K.
Yeah, when it first came out, and it was way better than 40K.
Yeah, the rules were free.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right in that it's a game that requires other players. It's not like a video game where you can just jump on what is it called, a Discord and find people. Here you have to like meet them at hobby shops, be social, suck some dick.
If you want to win.
Yeah, while you're waiting for your turn, you just jump underneath the table and kind of like help the
You
player.
said you haven't won any games at 10th, right?
Right.
I have some tips for you.
So what you're saying is I should get my knee pads from home and bring them to the... okay.
Yeah, so you've been missing out.
We had somebody comment in our previous podcast. I imagined you guys were all virgins. Now I know, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that one too, and it made me happy.
Looking at the lore, I wish I would have known that there's a lot of homebrew to the like nature of how you can actually create your chapters, and it's super flexible. Like it's a sandbox world.
Gives you a lot of freedom to do what you want.
Because I think for a lot of newcomers, and I saw a docile creature, this happened to you because when you were starting your Bear Claw Men, you wanted information from us. Like, how many Space Marines in a company, how many Space Marines in like that kind of, in the organization or the hierarchy of an actual chapter. And the reality is like, you can sure there's a Codex Astartes, the Ultramarines, and that kind of like generic thing, but you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like Iron Hands are like dreadnoughts for chapter masters and shit. So it's all over the place.
That actually reminds me of something else that I wish I knew when I first started out, and that's if you're going to start Space Marines, unless you really like one of the the lore chapters, I would make your own.
Yeah.
Because it gives you the flexibility to kind of play whatever you want. Unless you don't care that you're playing your Ultramarines as Iron Hands, which maybe you don't. But I started off with Raven Guard, and I didn't want to just keep playing with the Raven Guard rules all the time when I had this Space Marine Codex with all these other rules.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wish I would have started with a homebrew chapter. That's something I just thought of as you were talking, because like that's something I definitely regret when I have this little small force of Raven Guard and then all these other Bear Claw men.
What are they actually called?
Ursa Wardens.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do think that, because when you brought up the Codex thing, I wish I would have known that certain factions are just going to be ignored by Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if any of us would have started playing Eldar. Like, that person would have stopped playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because some of the models are still metal.
Yeah.
Some of the models that were really good are now dead. Eldrad. Like, the dude was pinnacle. He was, like, the guy, and now he's dead. So it's like, why are you still bringing Eldrad to 10th edition games? Like, technically, he shouldn't exist.
Is he dead?
Yeah. He died at, like... Or he was sacrificed to help Eniad be birthed. I think, like, the Death Watch got him or something.
Rip.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, like, not every faction is created the same because GW's not going to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want new models on a regular basis, play Space Marines.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're stuck with what the line is pretty much.
Also, I wish I would have known that there's cheaper
Alternatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3D printing has come a long way where sometimes the sculpts are indistinguishable from, like, the actual GW, or even better.
Yeah.
There's
a
a lot
lot
of
of third-party sites.
Yeah, so especially if you're looking for chaos stuff and demons, there's so much to explore.
I wish I would have known all the different ways to cheat also before we started. And that's a plug to our previous podcast on how to cheat in 40K.
Yeah, that seems like 40K, there's a lot that people don't know how to explore, because, like, the game is just one part of it. Like, if you don't like playing the game, you don't have to play the game. Just collect the models, paint whatever you want to paint. And if that's not your thing, you could read the lore. Because I feel like that's one thing that everybody loves about 40K. The universe is always expanding. There's always some avenue that you can explore. And you can get really into the deep, dark crevices of an obscure faction and learn things you never knew even existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever you read something in the rule book or the codex, you're kind of reading things at face value. And once you get into the novels, you learn the nitty-grittiness of it, and I think that's what helps people dive into the lore.
I think codex stuff is almost like you're reading like an encyclopedia or like a history book, but when you actually like are living through, like seeing it through a character's perspective, it really brings it to life in like the novels and stuff.
I've recently started listening to a lot of audiobooks from, what's his name? He's on YouTube. I think it's Vox in the Void or something like that. Have you guys heard of it? The dude has like 4 orc-specific audiobooks. That never was a thing back in the day. So the fact that like now you see it through the perspective of your own faction is just fucking awesome. And yes, it does make orcs feel way different now that I've listened to an actual audiobook. And next time I play, I will think like, oh shit, these are greenskins. These are savage ass dudes.
And if you really are really like unsure of what faction to pick, listen to some audiobooks and maybe you'll like resonate with a certain character, and then it'll make you want to pick an army. Because if you said what's your favorite chaos warband or heresy, I guess I would have never picked word bearers until I listened to the word bearer books, and I'm like, whoa, these guys are awesome.
However, don't get too attached, because I had that problem where I'm like, oh, Gilliman just came out. He's a freaking Primarch. He's unkillable. I'm going to play Gilliman. I'm going to put him in my front lines. I'm going to walk him up the board and kill whatever I get.
Still got to play smart.
Yeah, he died first turn.
Also, though, because you're a Tau player and you love playing Farsight, it's the same thing with Farsight, where like you have a love for that character and you play him even though you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna lose, but you're gonna like have fun doing it.
And not just that, but don't get attached to these characters because like the lore could change for them in a drop of a hat.
Especially if you're a Necron player, like the old school Necron players. Nowadays, like Necrons are something different.
Yeah. And not only the lore, but another thing that I wish I kind of would have known is the rules change so frequently that your army might play completely different from edition to edition. So, like, really pick models that you like, not necessarily rules that you like.
Yeah. Grey Knights are these awesome warriors that fight fire with fire using warp power to slay demons. And how do they play in 10th edition? Deep Strike. What psychic powers do they have? Nothing really.
So I guess you wish you would have known you're going to get frustrated at GW's release date schedule.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, the index rules are still,
Yeah.
like, he doesn't like the index rules. Like,
Yeah, and I can't play them any other way. Like,
Yeah.
their codex hasn't dropped, so I have to play them as an index army.
Yeah.
So would you guys say you wish you would have known that maybe like don't not only don't get like don't sell your heart to this one character, but also don't sell your heart to this one army?
Yeah.
Like, would you guys have wanted? Because when I first started playing orcs, right away I wanted a green tide. I wanted 2,000 points of orcs. If I would have like chilled out and been like, get 1,000 points of orcs and then try a different faction, I think I might have gotten a little bit more out of 40K.
Yeah, because if you don't like nail the faction that you're gonna love right away, and you invest 2,000 points, which is a lot of time and money, you're gonna be less like willing to try something else because you're like it's like you sunk so much time and money that you don't. If you start over, like what was the point of doing all that? But
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people like to do, and that's they overstep into the gaming, the hobby aspect of 40K, where you just buy boxes on boxes on boxes, and then you step back and you look into your cupboards, and it's like plastic.
Pile of shame.
Yeah.
everybody has them. That's okay.
And then the meme of like, don't buy a mini until you paint your previous mini. I would say that's not something that I wish I would have known in the beginning. It's an it's a compulsion that every wargamer is going to have. So just fucking dive into it, I would say.
It's okay to not do that because new minis come out and sometimes they're not going to be in production for very long, and you miss your shot, and that sucks.
And that's what we wish we would have known before playing 40K. If you guys have anything, let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want to support the channel, you can by giving us a super thanks. The link is going to be in the description, I think. And thanks for everything.
Yeah, we use these super thanks to buy 5 jackets for a docile creature. Look at him. He needs them.
I could use one more.
He's losing color as we speak.
He's fine.
But yeah, with that being said, guys, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. And as always, it's been the Sound Alchemist with my 2 co-hosts.
Gershwin?
Docile creature.
And we are out of here.